Hey there, guys. I'm back at you again. Just wanted to tap in. I guess, piggybacking on some of those thoughts I had in the last video I shared with you guys. I don't know. I think it's something about, when I talk to my son. So, um, yes, I'm a crybaby. So if I cry, don't pay me no attention. Yes, I get emotional. But it's something about when I tap in with my kids, especially my boys. They say that, mothers and their sons have a different kind of relationship, and I have a, special relationship with my girls too, and I'm just so blessed and thankful to be blessed with two boys and two girls and two granddaughters. So, but yeah, it was just something that, my oldest and I were able to, talk about just some of the things in the world. And it's not all bad. But we were just, comparing notes how, the younger kids today, and, how they are growing up that and thinking that this is normal. And, I just kind of think about, what other people in different countries think about. And we were even thinking about, even just like, my oldest granddaughter, even when she begins to drive and she looks back, or, when we share history, because we know that in our schools, a lot of times the truth isn't shared. That is our responsibility as parents, as grandparents, as, community members, to share truth, to share our truth. That is one of the beauties of social media, to share positivity. I know some of it can be, uh, a breeding ground for negativity, and um, young people so concerned about, their looks, or, a lot of bullying and so on. And I think we all can do something to change that. And obviously, I'm not so concerned about my looks. It's the end of the day, for me in Northern Nevada, and I'm rocking my natural hair. But hey, I'm glad to be alive. I'm blessed to be here because I could be 6 feet under, and sometimes I'm not that I'm, suicidal or whatever. Sometimes in this world, that might be a blessing. But anyway, I'm blessed to be here and have most of my faculties. And I say that in a joking way, because back in 2019, I did have a stroke. And within the last few months, I found out that there were some damages, more than what I thought. And it started showing up in some balance issues. So, also, if you hear me talk and I'm trying to reach for my words, it's not like, I didn't took a hit of something or took a sip. Um, Sometimes I think about that, but no, it's my brain, as my neurologist says, it's trying to catch up. It's trying to catch those sparks, connect those sparks. Just think of a car trying to crank. So that's what's going on. There are some blood cells that, are not quite alive anymore. So it's trying to catch up. But anyway, getting back to that conversation with my oldest son, I thought it made, a lot of sense. And, I just, as I, was writing one of my papers, I have this one professor, he believes in lots of writing. It's a good thing, but sometimes I'm just like, come on, dude, every single day an essay. But I get it. It forces us to read. It forces us to comprehend and, regurgitate it, which is a good thing, And then I have these essays to reflect back on. But as I was going through that, I was reflecting on our conversation. And he's right. It's sad that these younger people are going to think that this is normal. And this is far from normal. So I think we have to, you know, do our due diligence and, you know, do our best that we can to make normal as positive as we can within, our homes and in our environments, and um, you know, whether that looks like in, the schools, if, you go to church or you're at the park, spend that time, because it is so true. It takes a village, because this stuff isn't normal. People robbing museums in broad daylight. I have, some of you may know, may not know, I'm raised up in the hood. I'm from South Central LA. I'm proud to be from there. Some of those, the y'all get it twisted. Y'all think, oh, she talks proper, but that's where I get that second language. It comes out, that language I told you about cuts you out. But no, the hood taught me a lot of things. I can, sit in the room with board members. I can sit in the room with gangsters, and we can chop it up. And at the end of the day, we can find some common ground. And even, I was chopping it up with some of the gangsters I know that, are doing life. And we said, there were rules. There were certain things that gangsters just didn't do. You didn't go into churches and stuff and, um, shooting people up. There just were rules. And now, like I said, I think it's time for people to review that book of Revelations. And I truly believe that we are at the end, but only God knows that. And I just think that we need to relish the time that we have with um, our friends and family, and just be kind, elude kindness, and give what you want more of. You want more peace, give that. You want more love, give that. And pass on your legacy. Take that time out to speak with, your kids, even though there may be in other states, you may be busy or whatever. Take that time out. I'm so glad that I stopped doing my chores to have that time with my son. It kind of warmed my heart that we were able to chop it up over little things. And before I go and get off of here, I was working on something. I'm not a poetry person or anything, but I'm going to share a little bit of what I was kind of journaling about. And it goes a little something like this. And for those of you that don't know, now you know. I get a lot of my inspiration from gangster rap. I don't know, it's just something about the way they put things, and people like Mary J. Blige and so on. But anyway, I was listening to some of that, and some of that came to mind. So, the world feels upside down lately, topsy-turvy. Those at the top are scrambling for control, while those of us at the bottom are being called to go within. This isn't punishment, it's awakening. It's a reminder to use what is God given and move with what is ancestor-driven. We are the seeds that survive every storm. We are the roots that know how to regrow even in broken soil. So if life feels uncertain right now, breathe. You are guided to rebuild differently, softer, slower, and sacred. Welcome to Roni T Garden Talk, where we sip truth, stir healing, and remember that peace starts within. So, yeah, like I said, I'm getting my little thoughts together for my Ronnie's Tea Garden of Healing. It will be virtually, and yeah, I'm going to create some stuff for, in person for those that would like to come together in person, and, it will grow from there. And of course, I'm open to ideas and comments, so please leave your comments. I welcome all of that. And like I said, be you. You have a lot to give to this world. Don't be afraid to be you, and share your blessings with the world, because we need them. We need more positivity. We need more, unique positivity, not buffoonery. We have enough fools running around doing the most, and I am just, I've just had enough. And I'm not the only one, and it's just it's enough. And prayer is key, and we have to set the example. And again, like I said, give more of what you want to receive. So if that looks like love, that looks like peace, care, give it. And as I always say, remember to be kind, be a blessing to others, and remember to be blessed. Peace. See you in the next one.